Hi, Heidi Heron here from the Worldwide Institutes of NLP. Today I'm going to answer a question about how NLP can help you address fears. I've recently been asked a question about how NLP can help address and manage fears. What I would like to ask the person who asked the question is a fear of what and how does it show up in your life? Because different fears will show up in different kind of ways. A fear of failure will be different than a fear of dogs, for instance. But generally NLP is looking at some of the similar concepts, and that's how your mind has created those programs that you now react to in a fearful way. First and foremost, when we're working with NLP to understand, manage, and even eliminate various fears, what we want to do is identify where this came from, if there's triggers for it, if there's a history of it, if there's a specific reason for it. For example, if there's a fear of dogs, was there ever a dog attack? So we want to know that. A lot of times fears are a little bit abstract and they don't actually come from somewhere specific. So in addition to understanding where a person is now, I also want to know where do they want to be? What is that fear in the future for them? Is it that the fear is still there and they just want to understand how to manage it? Do they want to eliminate it? Do they want to just figure out where it came from? Because depending on the desired state, we will do different things. If the fear is something like a noun, a person, place, a thing, an animal, then we can actually change it fairly simply utilizing some submodality changes. Now, submodalities are the building blocks of our thoughts, and we can change how the mind has coded a concept like a dog or spiders, cockroaches, a fear of small places. People, place, things are usually the best with these submodalities, and we can start to change how our mind codes something. So we might even start playing with the visual images or the sounds or the feelings of it and start to change the location or the size or the color or the volume or the weight. And inside, what that's doing is neurologically changing the connection so that we're shifting it into more of a neutral space. For some fears that are more abstract and don't really have a tangible item to go with them, it's more of an emotional based thing. If there's a pattern, we can utilize some NLP processes from timeline. Timeline is a concept that was introduced to NLP by Steve and Connie Ray Andreas in the 1980s, originally modeled on some of the work that Fritz Perls did that went into Gestalt therapy, as well as some of the concepts of Freud as well. The timeline techniques actually take us back to a root cause, to an unconscious mind's root cause. Our unconscious mind is that non-thinking part of our mind, and it actually stores every memory we've ever had. I read an article recently, and one day I will get the source back, but what this article said is that we actually only have conscious thinking awareness ability to access about 3% of our memories. So because NLP works directly with the unconscious mind, we have the ability to go and retrieve the unconscious, almost buried, if you will, memory. So we can go back to the root cause and address it at that state to figure out what could have been learned, what resources may have been needed, and even at an unconscious level to start to make a shift to the neurological connections. We can also utilize accessing, creating anchors, collapsing anchors, integrating anchors, submodality changes, as I mentioned before, parts integration type processes. So there's a lot of processes that you can either utilize, work with a coach to help with a fear, or if you know the skills of NLP, you can utilize this with yourself. So another great reason to be able to learn NLP is to help yourself, even to help other people with fears. Fears at the end of the day are there to keep us safe. So another technique I might employ is something called communicating with the symptoms that allows us to communicate with what that fear is trying to tell us and what it wants from us and how it's serving us. So if you can find out those fears, how they're serving you, do some changes to your unconscious programming, that is how NLP utilizes fears, or how we can use NLP to help to manage, even eliminate fears of all shapes, all sizes, as long as you have a desired state.